Hey everybody, I'm making a quick video because I keep getting this question in my comments a lot of how did I get started with exposure therapy for my agoraphobia and panic disorder? How did I kind of take those first steps in healing myself? For those of you that are new, kind of tuning in, for context, I struggled pretty hard with agoraphobia, panic disorder. I've been in situations where I can't go a mile from my house, and now I've, through self-guided exposure and a little willpower, gotten to the point where I can drive on freeways and go, let's call it 20 miles from my house. So let me hop into the video just with those accolades. I mean that lightheartedly, but so kind of this is to cut to the chase how I kind of did it. And I'll kind of break this down into 3 steps. So the first real thing that I had to tell myself, and I still tell myself, this hasn't changed throughout time, by the way, I didn't have the full belief that I was going to fully recover and that I would ever have a normal life where I can go fly on airplanes and visit people, and it was inconceivable, the things that I do today, even for that matter. And if I'm totally transparent, I still have times where I don't know that I'll ever be fully recovered. But that doesn't matter in recovery, because that's the first part, is do I believe that tomorrow I can do something better than I did today? Or something better today than I did yesterday? That's what I put my belief in. And as that got me started was, well, I can go a mile from my house today. I figure that at the bare minimum, I can get in my car and drive an extra, quarter mile. And that's basically, I don't want to overcomplicate that. What that is you don't even have to believe that you're going to recover fully. In fact, there's no guarantee you will, and that's a part of that's the raw deal as well. But what you're really aiming for is, but do you believe that you can push yourself at least a little further today than you did yesterday? If the answer is yes, get out there and do it. And B, here, I'm going to merge on the freeway for y'all. A, get out on the freeway and do it. And B, I'm only going up and exit too. But get out there and actually do it. But again, you don't need a total belief. You just need to believe that you can do something. Focus on what that something is and go do it. All right, part 2. I would always have a goal in mind. Like, okay, well, we've established that you need to do something to get better. Well, also I established in my brain, I would say, well, what exactly am I trying to teach myself? What is the lesson that I'm seeking here? Now, the obvious one is, well, I'm seeking that I can go to this area and maybe have anxiety, or maybe not. I don't want to shortchange that, because the reality is that's a really big thing. So in my very first exposures that I was doing, I was literally just training myself, teaching myself, am I the type of person that is willing to step into something extremely uncomfortable? So a success to me was I was willing to stand up to my fear and get the shit kicked out of me. I mean, there's no other way to put that. So I wasn't training myself that the anxiety that was gonna go away, or that it was gonna go any particular way, but it took quite a few repetitions to train my brain. I'm the type of person that is willing to stand up and get slapped around and face my fears. So that's that one. Like, really clearly define what you're trying to train yourself, or your brain, or your mind, rather than, and don't overcomplicate it. Break it down. And then the third part of it is really just an extension of that. Is, let me actually focus on driving for a second. I'm going up to this T-Mobile up here. But the other part of that is being very clear on what, and I say this more in hindsight, by the way, because I wasn't really great at this at the beginning, but you really want to be clear on exactly what your exposure is. So going back to my analogy of, okay, well, I'm training I can go a mile, so I'm gonna go half a mile further, a quarter mile. Like, stick to that. Just have a very clear, defined goal of what you're doing. What I found in life in general, and especially when it comes to agoraphobia and panic disorder, this is maybe the most important thing. Ill-defined goals, hazy goals, end poorly. There's a cop pulling someone over. What do we got here? So if you don't, and this is something I might have heard before. I think Jordan Peterson might have said this. I don't know if y'all are fans. I know he's a divisive character. I personally really like him. But if you're not really clear on what your goals are, then you're also not really clear on what failure is. And I think it's important to just clearly define what you want to do. So, and by the way, it's okay to fail. Not every day is gonna be a win. But at least know, like, you gotta set the bar somewhere. So for me, okay, I'm gonna go a quarter mile beyond my comfort zone. That's pretty black and white. If I go to that zone and I do it, then I did good. If I didn't, then I failed. And I don't mean failure in the heavy, sad way, but that's true. Clearly define your goals. So recap, part A that got me started on my exposures, and advice that I would give every one of you that's commented on my video: you don't need to believe that you're gonna totally get better, and that, that's ideal. I would love you to believe that, but I've been going through this long enough to know that, if you've been dealing with this for a while, it's reasonable that you think, well, this shit's never gonna happen. So part one, you don't need a belief that you're gonna fully get better. But you do need a belief that it's at least possible that you could do something a little further out of your comfort range every day. Break it down in small pieces. The second part, be specific on exactly what you're wanting to train your brain. And in the beginning, that tends to be that train your brain that you're the type of person that's brave enough to actually do something bold, like, leave your comfort zone. And then the third part is being clear on what your goals are and what your exposures look like. Write it out if you have to, but be very clear on what your success is, so you can be very clear on what your failures are. So those are my tips that I would give you. Again, thanks everyone for following my journey. It's really helped me stay motivated, because I'm thinking of myself and getting better, and it a couple of you have left comments that, are thinking about getting out there, or kind of looking into that sort of a thing. And if I have any small part in that, in helping you see that it's possible to get out of your house, or comfort zone in general, that would make my life. So stick with it, stay in touch, leave comments. And just an update too, I'm going to be getting here in about the next week. I'm going to do some videos that are more designed around, so I can actually show you all, like, what is kind of the limit of my zone, because these might be kind of meaningless videos to you when you see me driving around, because you don't have context of what my safe zone is or is not. So I'm going to do some videos where I drive around and clearly show you what my limitations are. And then, you bet your bottom dollar, I'm going to make some videos that show you exactly how I'm going to get past those limitations. So subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff, and I hope everyone's good. Take care.